They can't handle that. So the same thing with the carriers, like the airlines or the cruise companies. They can't handle you for the
Right.
life claim, so you can't get on there with that. So see, that's that other venue, and that's the only thing that they are scared of in anything is liability. And this technology levels the playing field, because we take away anything that they say, anything that they claim, we can take away at all. We can just flatten it right out. That's not there. What else you got? And they don't have anything.
Right.
You see?
Right.
When we syntax that, syntaxing means that you're identifying what part of speech each word is.
Okay.
And when you do that with their documents, you prove that there is no nouns.
Okay.
Which proves that there is no facts.
Right.
Which proves that it's false and misleading statements. So if it's false and misleading statements, it cannot stand.
Right.
See?
Oh my goodness.
It only stands. Their claims, all their stuff stands only in the absence of a fact claim.
Okay.
See, you are guilty right now of Federal Rules of Civil Rules of Procedure 12b-6, which states in their language, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted.
Right. Exactly.
See, they can't see your claim. You don't have a claim because you haven't made one.
Right.
Your lawyer, any papers that your lawyer put in, and this is the sad part, any papers that your lawyer put in, we have to syntax those.
Oh yeah, and actually my lawyers were dropped because they motioned to drop my representation because I said if Bob didn't call me, he was a snake. And on the same day, they dropped my children out of the case for statute of limitations. They moved the seatbelt buckle to Asheville, and where they tank the cases. The judge said there was too much water over the dam, so that's why they dropped my representation. And I told him, I said, the lack of empathy in this room. And the judge was like, that's enough, Christina. Like, yeah.
Well, see, so all we're going to do, we're going to take the original statement of claim, and we're going to take any judgments that they've made, like concerning your kicking your kids out of the case or anything like that. We're going to take those. We're just going to take those documents. Okay. We don't need everything else. Okay. Because it's all fraud. It doesn't matter. You see. Right. And we're just going to vacate that. What we're going to do is we're going to take, because the chain of command, you see, is the port authorities and then the courts.
Got it.
Because you have to understand that this system is about shipping.
Right.
See, and so the people's bodies are just vessels.
Right.
And they're derelict. They're unclaimed vessels, and this is the problem that we're going to have here, because your children did not have a claim of the live life. Mm-hmm. You don't have claims of the live life to stand on there to make your claim. That is going to be a problem, and I've got to get that off to. I got to get off to my friend to ask it of Russell. I don't know what to do in that state.
Okay. I seen that on his website. There was like a baby land deeds or something like that. Now, if I did something like that in the now space, would it still concur?
I don't know what you mean. Do what? Tell something like
as far as like these baby land deeds or something that Russell would approve of, I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see when we cross that bridge.
However. Baby land?
Yeah, it was on his website. I guess for the children, any children out there. So
but I don't think we can do it it would have to be alive in order to do that.
Okay.
Same with a live life claim. Same thing. I don't know that there's anything we can do there. Okay. But basically, all that we're going to do is we're going to take their paperwork, and we're going to syntax it all. And then we're going to attach that. Okay, the evidence goes. I'm telling you how the stack is going to be.
Yep, I appreciate that.
The evidence is going to be on the bottom. The syntax evidence is going to be on the bottom. Okay. Then on top of that is going to be the live life claims. Well, the only one that we have is yours, so your live life claims, a copy of it's going to go there. Okay. Then on top of that is going to be what's called an amicus curiae. Okay. Amicus curiae means friend of the court. Okay. And the document is all about Title 42, 1986, stopping and correcting. Everybody has a duty to stop and correct. They're committing crime, see, by lying right now. Right. So we're going to take their documents, we're going to syntax them, we're going to attach them as evidence and send to the Port Authority. We're going to send an amicus. Once we have the proof of service to the Port Authority, Then we're going to take the stock that I just mentioned, and we're going to take a brand new stock, and we're going to put the proof of service on top of it. Okay, the stock is going to grow chronologically. Okay, so now we have the stock with that proof of service on it. Now we're going to take that and we're going to serve it on the judges, on the prosecutors, and on General Motors. Okay, we'll serve it on all of them. And we're going to take any papers coming from General Motors, any of their claim, their statement of claim, their denial, whatever they're saying, whatever judgment has been made at all, we'll vacate all of that for fraud.
Okay.
See, we're going to serve them with this amicus, and then once we serve them, we've got to wait for 60 or 70 days, probably 70 days before we move. That's the timeline. It's commercial timeline, it's shipping timeline. And then after that, then we can serve them with what's called a performance contract, because you're just basically telling them with the amicus, you're just saying, stop and correct this grammar. It's all fraud. Yeah. Stop and correct.
Okay.
Write it correct. And they can't do that.
Okay.
See, because they never had a claim in the first place. They never had nothing, and they don't have the liability surety. They don't have the liability insurance for it, so they can't write a fact claim.
Okay.
See, so they're just barred. So you win just by filing. You win.
Right. Okay.
It's done.
Got it.
Okay. So now we do a performance contract, and in the performance contract, we just make our claims. We just say, okay. I mean, because vehicles just don't. Normal is not a vehicle bursting into flames and burning up.
Right.
That's not wrong. So there's the claim right there. Bang, faulty. It was faulty.
Right.
Okay. And the liability then for the children then, then we put the claim in there for the liability for the damages. Okay. And then we serve that on them, and then they got 10 days to pay.
Okay.
That's the fault claim. Now, they're not going to pay because... You see, for them, that's a confession.
Right.
Yeah, we're right, we're liable, you're right, we're liable. They don't want that. So what they'll do is they'll just go silent. And that's okay. Because if they go silent, well, now you can just go ahead and discover their assets. Now, there's a bunch of ways we can do this here. Once you're at that point, that whole stack of paper with the fault claim on top, and the proof of service of that on top on each one of them idiots, that is bankable paper. And that's worth whatever your claim is. If your claim is worth, because you're going to claim, you want to, it's Title 15, 1692E is $25 million for every false and misleading statement claim. So if they got 1 page, that's 25 million. 2 pages, that's 50 million. 3 pages, that's 75 million. You see?
Okay.
So it really, if the children's lives were only worth $1 million apiece, whatever, well, that's all you're going to claim, $1 million apiece for them. But you're going to claim for all the lying, for all the fraudulent syntax grammar, you're going to claim 25 million for this, 25 million for this, 25 million for that. So it adds up.
Right.
See, and then so you put that all together and serve them with that, and now they've just got to pay. And if they can't pay, well, now we go. The next step is then we can take it, and we can, with the paper all done and complete, we can take it and go to the collection agencies to see if the collection agencies could go and seize assets worth the value of your claim to settle up your claim. If they won't work with collections, well, then what we can do is we can go to the sheriff with a writ. We can write up a writ for the writ of the seizure and the sale. So we can have the sheriff go and seize assets to try and bank accounts, whatever we can to cover that claim. If that won't work, if we can't get satisfaction out of that, then we go to the banks, take that whole stack of paper, duplicate it, and put another original stamp on it, and we'd have to create another contract. Basically, it's called a bank-to-bank trading trust.
Okay.
And we have to go in there with that bank-to-bank trading trust, and we have to go to the commercial banks, and we take the stack of paper, and we put that in there as our asset to bank. Okay, you understand? If you had $1 million in gold, a gold bar was $1 million there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's just an asset, and it doesn't feed you, it doesn't house you. So what you have to do with it is you vest it, or what they call invest, which is just the value of it. They just take that $1 million, and here's my $1 million asset, now bank that. And so whatever they get for using it, you're just basically renting it. It's the same difference if instead of that bar of gold, let's say another analogy is that you had 50 brand new Ford trucks, big heavy duty trucks. Well, what are you going to do with them? Again, they don't house you, they don't feed you. What are you going to do with them? Well, you're going to rent them out. Mm-hmm. You're going to lease them. And that lease payment, that's going to be the income stream from that asset, you see?
Okay, right.
You're just renting the trucks, and you're just getting your income stream on the truck. So the same idea with the gold, you're just renting the gold. Well, your paperwork that's complete with all the stamps and seals and everything all the way up from the bottom, from the evidence, all the way up to the top, is your gold.
Okay.
You see? So you're just banking that. And now if the commercial bank should work with you. If they don't, however, we have Russell's Bank. We could always just bank with Russell's Bank. And you would, out of that bank-to-bank trading trust, that creates a 90-day window. Every 90 days, they would make a payment on that. They're not going to pay it all at once. Okay. But they would make a payment on that, a certain percentage of a payment, and you would get, X number of dollars into that bank account every month that you could take and use a debit card or withdraw or whatever to do whatever you wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody seems to think I'm a little bit nuts for believing in such things, but I've seen a lot crazier shit. Crazier things.
Well, this stuff works. Now, in this case, you were getting into some unknown territory that I haven't done before, because usually it's about, stopping them from, putting someone in jail or what. I just did a case recently where this woman, a little Russian lady, she's an immigrant here, doesn't speak very good English, and she didn't know what she was doing at all. Still doesn't understand it, but she had an 18-year-old autistic son, and so he was getting a bit much for her, so she signed him into a group home. And once he was in the home, they decided, well, we're going to medicate him. And she was mad. She says, no, you're not going to medicate him. He's not unhealthy. He's just autistic. Doesn't need medication. Mm-hmm. And so they were not happy with her about that, because she stopped them. And then came along Convid, and they wanted to, with the con, they wanted to vaccinate him. She said, no, I'm not vaccinating him. The hell for? Well, so they went to the court, and they got a permanent guardianship order. So the public trustee is now his guardian. She's no longer his guardian. Public trustees his guardian, so they can medicate and vaccinate him. Well, they do whatever they want. And then because she was in there complaining and bitching at them, they barred her from seeing him.
Oh, wow.
Now she can't even see her own child.
No way.
So, and he's like a baby to her. That's her baby. And
sure.
It's still her child. Autistic or not, that's her child. So she wasn't allowed to see him. So she came to me, and we did the paperwork. And we did the amicus, and we served it on the courts. We served it on the group home director. We served it on every member of the board of directors. We served it on everybody. The attorney general, we served it on everybody. Yeah. We filed it all with the Port Authority, and then we served it on everybody. And then we counted out 70 days. Well, after the 70 days, 5 of us went down there to get him. Now, we probably should have had a contract written for that, to do that step, but we didn't have, and we didn't know how at the time. And we didn't have the knowledge that we have today. And so we went in there, 5 of us went in there, that's class action. 5 of us went in there to get him. And they wouldn't let him go. They called the police, they called the manager's on the phone with his lawyer, and the police are there making legal determinations, and the lawyer's making legal determinations. We're scared the hell out of them, because every time the police say something, are you making a legal determination? Are you practicing law from your administrative capacity? That's a crime. You can't do that. And the same, the lawyer for the home, well, that paperwork that they got doesn't mean anything. And so he's making a legal determination about the paperwork. But I said, no, we need that counter in writing. And not only that, you had your opportunity to counter, because they were all served and they had their time to answer. And they didn't do it.
Right.
So we went, that's over with. You don't get another chance to answer now or to argue. That's done. You should have done that in writing a long time ago. Of course, they couldn't. They can't make a claim. So they kicked us out of there under threat of arrest and everything, and we went home, and she was very upset, and she's upset with me. I don't know why she's upset with me, but no one else to focus on. And 2 weeks went by, and we were kind of hemming and hawing about what to do exactly, how to go about doing this. And they called her into court.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got to be in court on such a day. And she went in there, and the prosecutor ripped a strip off her. You should have had your kid back a long time ago if you hadn't done all that crazy paperwork. Which, of course, she doesn't know any better. She doesn't understand it, so she thought that they were correct and she had done something wrong, which she didn't understand. She's just listened to a criminal liar that is trying to save his ass.
Right.
And so then she goes into the courtroom, and the judge starts ripping a strip off her for that paperwork because it scared them. Because it makes them all liable for perjury.
Right.
So the judge ripped a strip off her about the paperwork, and then the judge picked up a file and slapped it down on the desk and said, "Here's your kid. I don't want to see you in my court ever again."
Oh.
So it works.
Yeah, okay.
Or they won't tell you that it works. They won't confess that it works, but it works.
Right, but they'll sit there and mock this maritime vocabulary in front of me. And my lawyer...
Because you see, the spoken word can't be qualified.
Right.
And as long as you're in there speaking to them, they got you.
Yeah.
You see, you can't speak to them.
Well, and since COVID, too, they don't even let you go in to speak to anyone in person. They make all these things over a Skype call.
Which is wire fraud.
Yeah.
We don't participate in wire fraud. This is wire fraud. I don't participate in wire fraud. So we have a script that Russell gave us that we use that script. And I tell people, you have to stay. I just sent a guy in there three weeks ago, a month ago I sent in, and he put himself in jail overnight. And because I sent him in there and I said, all right, this is what you say, because they're gone. The United States is gone.
Yeah,
right? There is no more United States. So as soon as you start writing to them or dealing with them, you're legitimizing them.
Right.
You see, they're not there anymore. They're just privateers. They have because the United States is gone. That means the states are gone. That means the laws, codes, rules, regulations of the states are gone, including licensing, which means they don't even have an insurance company.
Right.
They don't even have insurance. So they're personally liable.
Right.
You see? Which is hard to impress upon them because they believe the lie.
Right, everybody
does. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The fact is they don't have any insurance. So the thing is, when we go in there, we say, for my name is with the full colon, Gordon hyphen Michael, full colon Schiller. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking to myself in the first person specific because the bankruptcy is over and none of you people exist anymore.
Right.
You know, and then they'll say, Mr. Schiller or Miss Frost, blah, blah, blah. They say, for my comprehension of your babble is with the void hyphen claim by my knowledge. You see, what you're saying in quantum, which they can't put in a transcript. They can't talk about it. They can't answer you. They can't say anything because it's quantum. But what you're saying is, I can't understand you. And you can't because the spoken word doesn't mean anything. See?
Right.
The spoken word can't be qualified. You just take what I just said and syntax that, write that down in syntax, it doesn't have any meaning.
Right.
See? Any would be an adverb, meaning would be a verb. What's a verb meaning? What does that mean? So you cannot understand them and you cannot respond to them. So for my comprehension of your babble is with the void hyphen claim by my knowledge. That puts that into the record and into the transcript that you don't understand them. See?
For my comprehension of your babble.
Yeah, I don't understand your babble because they're babbling to you.
Yeah.
See? And then when they say anything to you again, after saying that, they say, where is your correct syntax grammar and where is your authorization from Russell for your function in this now space?
Right.
See, where's your authorization from the plenipotentiary hyphen judge, postmaster hyphen general, full colon Russell hyphen J, full colon Gould. You know, see, and they don't have that. You see, because with the bankruptcy over, they don't even have authority to speak unless they have an authorization from Russell.
Right.
See, and they don't have that. Russell doesn't authorize any of them clowns to do or say anything.
Right. But unless we're equipped with any knowledge to know that, they just get away with their little show.
Once you state that, you see, by this point in time, you have your paperwork served on them.
Right.
See, so the paperwork speaks because the spoken word can't be qualified. One judge said to me, so is that the extent of your argument? And I said, the paperwork speaks, buddy, I'm done here. I said it three times, three strikes, you're out, just walk. But I didn't say it like that, because you don't even respond that way, because you can't respond to them, because it's like Simon says at that point. You've made your claim, and that's why my guy went to jail. And I said, he came back after the next day. I said, what the hell happened? And he said, well, the judge told me she didn't appreciate being called ma'am. And I said, I don't give a shit what you like being called. And Mr. Prosecutor this and Mr. Prosecutor that. And I said, well, you know why you went to jail? Well, no, I thought this stuff worked. I said, well, you went to jail for perjury because you lied. You said, I am speaking to myself in the first person specific. So in the first person specific, who's ma'am? Who's Mr. Prosecutor?
Right.
See, you can't speak to them.
Right.
You can't, because otherwise you give them life.
That makes sense.
So you just have to do it broken record. The next time they speak again, for my comprehension of your babble, is with the void hyphen claim by my knowledge. Where's your correct syntax grammar? Where's your authorization from Russell? Broken record.
Right.
Going twice. Auctioneering rule. Okay. Again, they speak. Same thing for my comprehension of your babble. Where's your correct sentence structure? Where's your authorization from Russell? Going three times, three strikes, you're out. This matter is closed. The paperwork speaks. My business here is concluded, and I'm leaving. And you walk out.
Right.
Why would you stay there and argue, babble with the spoken word when your paperwork's in place and this paperwork does the speaking?
Right.
That's the fact that cannot be gone around.
And this, I keep ignoring their phone calls, and my family's getting upset with me. But they're telling me is that they've set a date for summary judgment, September 4th, for this even flow car seat buckle in Asheville, or whatever, North Carolina. And my mom's worried because they had dropped our representation and everything. And I said, well, that's great. I don't mind. But I said they've already made up their mind.
It's before anytime you go to court. If you get a traffic ticket tomorrow and then you show up in court for in a month's time, before you walk into that courtroom, the prosecutors and the judges have all sat down and discussed your case and decided what they're going to do, because all that they want to know is if there's any liability there for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're concerned with. Is there liability here for us? Can she harm us? Can she get at us?
And this judge already dropped my representation. Going to see it, I told my mom, I said he'll be lucky if I don't spit in his face in person, because I don't have anything to. I said I'm just going to watch the show. She's worried I'm going to spit off something crazy, but I'm going to spit off anything I need to.
You can go there and watch, but you just sit in the back and it doesn't matter. Personally, I don't go to their courts at all for anything. There's nothing there.
Right.
The spoken word doesn't mean anything, and they're just a bunch of actors. The judge is just a lawyer wearing a dress.
Exactly.
He's nobody.
I know, and they're all in bed with each other. They all know each other.
Oh, yeah, they're all buddies, and they've all decided this. They've already chosen. See, the thing is, they're making money. They're being paid, and they're making millions of dollars because, you see, there's an insurance claim here.
Right.
See? It's just like I had a guy that he was in a car accident. He was hit by an uninsured driver. And then he just got out of the hospital, like a couple of days, got himself another vehicle, and was hit by another uninsured driver from another province.
Gosh, no way.
So now what he was doing, those big advertisements on the side of high rises, he did that.
Oh, wow.
He's the guy that came up with that, and that's what he was working on when he got into these accidents. And because he was in these accidents, he lost that. Someone else got it. And so he went and got a lawyer to go to fight these guys that, basically that he lost all this money, for this opportunity. And he wanted to get paid. Well, so he had his lawyer hired a company out of another city, and it's a company that does assessments. Because, you see, the thing is this. If you smash up your car, you don't just call the insurance company and say, okay, my car was worth $10,000, send me $10,000. No. We'll send out our assessor. Mm-hmm. See, whatever the assessor says the value of the claim is, that's the value of the claim.
Right.
See, if the assessor says, well, the claim is $35,000, then it's $35,000. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so he paid $5,000 for this company to go do an assessment on this case. And I said, well, where's the assessment? He says, I don't know. The lawyer has it. I said, you paid $5,000 for an assessment and you've never even seen it. The lawyer's got it.
Yeah, right.
So I said, you go back to the lawyer and you tell the lawyer I want that assessment now. Well, the lawyer started panicking, started freaking out, and the lawyer sent him the assessment less the last 10 pages. Wouldn't even send him the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because you see, in the whole thing is their assessment, is their determination what the claim is worth. So I said, well, he won't give that to you. Rather than going after the lawyer right now and spending time with that, let's just, because the court case was coming up, I said, let's just go, you sit down with that thing and figure it out yourself. So he figured it out himself to arrive at the end. You know what that case was worth? $50 million. So now they offered him $160,000. Go away. So they were going to take $160,000 out of that settlement from the insurance company and give him and take the rest. They were going to take $50 million or $49 million and give him $160,000.
Right.
That's what was going on, and that's they didn't want that to happen, and he didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing about correct syntax grammar at the time. He didn't know how to state a claim. He could get it all back and save it now, but he won't listen. He just won't learn and listen, and he just thinks it's gone, and that's the end of it. So okay, fine. But that's what was going on. They were after that money.
Yeah.
So now the same thing is here.
Yeah,
There's
they told us
assessment.
in mediation, they said that their insurance will only cover up to $1 million, but they're only offering us $200,000 or like whatever.
Yeah, well, see, you need to find that assessment.
Yeah, that was.
You need to find what the insurance company said this is worth. She said up to $1 million. So is that $1 million each or $2 million?
Oh, that's our lawyers talking out their ass. I don't even know. They didn't have anything to show that backed anything up. They just.
Yeah, no, they never do it. They won't show that to you because then you would have knowledge. You'd just the same thing in this case. They wouldn't show him the assessment because they didn't want him to know there was $50 million on the table.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to know that. We're offering you $160,000, which is a pittance.
I wonder. I don't guess it's worth to. It's the Hilliard Gonzalez law firm in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is probably a red flag there, and they. For whatever reason, I don't know.
Doesn't matter. One law firm is the same as the next. Their fiction fraud is the same as the next.
Right, and my mom we talked to this even Morgan company that said that we need to go after them for malpractice now and all this.
Yeah. That's all in the fiction.
Right, it's all running in circles.
The malpractice. You are going after them for malpractice. The malpractice is perjury.
Right.
It's the grammar. They lied.
Right.
That's where your case is. It's all on the grammar. They lied. Everything that GM said, everything that said no, it's all lies.
Yep. And it's right in front of your face. And everybody still goes along with it, and they just try. Yeah. They're like, faith in the justice system, it'll prevail. I'm like, we've lost to General Motors through state and federal court, and now this Evenflow company, and then the lawyers took the buckle to AmSafe manufacturers in North Carolina, where it all got dropped for statute of limitations. And
yeah, that's what they do. But you don't care about any of that. We're still going after GM.
Yeah.
We're going to serve this paper on General Motors, on the head guy at General Motors with the claim. And there's not a goddamn thing he can do about it. Okay. Nothing. He can hire, like someone said to me in one case, they said, they'll just get a team of lawyers to put the run on you. I said, I don't care if they get every lawyer on planet Earth to create one giant law firm and come after me with that. I can still beat them all with one hand tied behind my back because they can't state a fact.
Right. Exactly.
No matter what they try to do, they're still stuck in fiction. They're still in fiction. Again, it's like that's why I use the analogy of Alice. When Alice woke up in the garden, well, now where's the Queen of Hearts playing card soldiers?
Right.
See, they can't come into the fact world. It's all just fiction. They can't come in. They can't state a fact.
Right.
They lack the capacity for the statement of a claim. Okay?
Right.
And you don't. You can state a claim. So your claim See, your claim stands. So imagine there's a clean, clear table with nothing on it, and they come along. Well, theirs isn't even paper, but let's say they make a little paper cup, one of those little pointy paper cups, and they set that on the table. Well, there's the claim. And you come along with a great big fat law book and drop it on there. Spach! There's my claim. What you got?
Yeah.
And they don't have nothing.
Right.
It's
right.
just air. It's
right.
just simply air. And so yours is going to state a fact and state a claim and wipe it all out. Doesn't matter. So what you're going to need the statement of claim. You're going to need the judgment where they, you could use that. You don't need it all. You don't really need it all. The one for the judge kicking your kids out. And what you want is any kind of judgment that's been made as far as values go. If there's an assessment, you wouldn't want that assessment.
Yeah, I don't even think anything ever really, of all the paperwork, I don't even think I've seen anything with any kind of amount.
Oh, yeah, no, it won't be there. It won't be there.
Right. It's, they kept saying multi-generational wealth change and all this,
Yeah.
They confiscated all these Buicks and I had to investigate.
That's the liars. The liars, just all they do is fabricate all day long, every day, and it's all to avoid liability.
Right.
We're not liable. Yeah, you are liable, and here's the liability. Now what are you going to do? And they just freak.
Yeah, and actually, I was on the news with a newscast down in North Carolina, in Charlotte, and when the reporter went to report it at the end, she said, commercial breaks too, she says, mom trying to make this company, she started to say, reliable, and then it cut her and it said accountable instead. She was like accountable, and she had to correct herself. And I'm like, because they won't take.
Same thing. See, accountable is a word that they created. The ACC means no.
Right. Exactly.
No accountable. Not accountable.
Exactly. I knew when she changed that, I was like, no, they're not going to take any liability or.
Oh.
They're going to make sure that's not.
The lawyers are earning their pay. They're avoiding liability.
Right.
And you're not going to step into that arena. That's why play in that arena. Like I said, I've made 3 judges get up and run from courtroom.
Yeah.
Because they're scared.
Good. Yeah.
They're scared. They don't want the liability.
Right.
I had one judge in one case. I did an income tax case for a guy, and I was standing there talking, and I finished my argument, and back. This is a long time ago, and the judge said, "Look," he said, "I agree with you." He says, "I'd like to stop paying taxes too," he said. But he said, "If I agree with you, if I rule in your favor, what will they do to me?"
Yeah.
He was scared of his own.
Right.
His own people, because he knew that if he ruled in my favor, they would just end him.
Right.
And so they know that. You see, the judges all swear an oath. They swear an oath, and the first time they breach it is like something like $68,000. The second time, they kill them.
Yeah, and the show they put on too, they'll at first they'll agree with you, and they're looking at General Motors. The General Motors lawyer was laughing, and I even commented on it. I said, "Did he just chuckle? Did he just laugh under?" He said something like, "Oh, Christina didn't even live in Michigan or something," and started laughing and under his breath. And I'm like, it doesn't seem like he's fighting very hard. This is already,
No.
This has been, they're not taking any of this serious.
It's just a show, and they're not afraid.
Yeah.
We caught a bank one time. We were standing in a bank manager's office, and we showed him and proved to him that everything he was doing was wrong and was fraud. And you know what he said? I don't care. I got a room full of lawyers.
Yeah.
That's all they do is fall back on them liars, and them liars get them off because the liars avoid all liability with all these lies. They just stack one lie on top of another, but they can't do it with this technology. Because they can't say another thing, anything they come back with. Like I was in the Coots border crossing, and they arrested me because they set out a warrant here in Alberta. And I said, well, there's no continuance of the evidence for that because it's outside 5 miles or 12 miles. Because this is all shipping rules. So outside 12 miles has no authority. And I don't care. And then they said, we're going to fingerprint you. So they took me into this room. They said, they're going to fingerprint me. And I said, well, I didn't authorize that. And I don't care. My fingerprint's all over the paperwork anyways. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I said, well, where's your authorization to take my fingerprints? Oh, we have it. And I said, well, where's the correct syntax grammar? We have it. And I said, well, let's see it. We don't have to show you that. And I said, well, where's that law? Show me that. Well, we don't have to show you that. And so they took me in this room and they tussled me up to have 5 guards to put my hand, to kind of twist me up and put my hand in this fingerprint machine. They were taking my fingerprints, whether I authorized it or not. And so I had 5 guys pushing on me to try to put my arm in this machine. It was just a little box sitting on the desk. And so I thought, well, they're all pushing that way. I'll just let that force go. So I let all that energy go, and my hand flew into that machine, knocking it off the desk and sending it flying. And my hand came up, and the back of my hand smacked the guard beside me. It smacked him in the face, really hard. And he doubled down, twisted my arm behind my back, and got a right nose to nose with me. You do that again. And I said, or what? You're gonna charge me?
Oh man.
You're gonna write something up. You're gonna put something in writing and sign it, and in wet. Give me a wet signature on that, so I can sue you for perjury on that too.
Right.
And he just stared at me because he knew, and they all knew. I looked at they were all looking at each other. They knew they had nothing. And I was just laughing at him. I said, "Go ahead, make my day. Put that in writing." I said, "I'll put every one of you in fucking prison for perjury, bunch of bastards."
Oh, I'm looking. As you're speaking, I was just looking over some different documents here. I found some like AmSafe insurance amounts and things that they sent me. I have a hard drive that they had sent all this information I asked for.
Well, okay. Any insurance claims that they make, well, an amount that they're liable for, we're going to syntax those too.
And I'm
but
not
the problem
sure.
is right now you have to be able to syntax it because I can't do all that syntaxing.
Right.
You see, you got to learn how to syntax that.
Right.
So, like I said, the initial statement of claim, and maybe the judgment that they kicked your kids out, and any insurance claims, or if you had the insurance companies for the policy, if you could get your hands on the policy for the insurance, if you had your hands on that, you could syntax that too and prove it's fraud.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment. This this car seat, it says by the millions. It's like a different tier, all these different tier levels and amounts.
Like I said, it's not up to them to say. Like I said,
right.
If you're walking down the street with your children and someone says, "Well, I want to buy them from you," what are they worth? Well, they're priceless.
Right.
You see, there's no price that I can give you, and any price that you would give, you would be discounting them.
Right.
You see, because you can't put a value on unlimited.
Okay, right.
You see, so it doesn't matter what they say. That's the venue that you're heading into. It doesn't matter what they say. They can stand there and babble all day long.
Okay.
It just makes zero difference. You're just going to go ahead and state your claim. First of all, you're going to put them on the spot to stop and correct what they've done, which they cannot do, which proves that they're committing fraud. That they're guilty under Title 15, 1692E for $25 million.
Right, wrote that down.
So, yeah, they have no way out. And then once you state your claim, you come forward with your claim. Well, I'm claiming this much for damage. I'm claiming $25 million for this document, $25 million for this document, $25 million for this document, and then you're gonna, and plus I'm claiming $1 million each for each child.
Okay.
You see, and so. I mean, $1 million, that's not very much. But what do you care if you're getting 100 million?
Right.
You see?
Right.
You're gonna be okay anyway, and they're all gonna be done.
Right.
There's nothing that they can do or say.
Well, and the biggest thing is I just want them to know that I know they're full of shit. I think is like, that's why I show up and stare them all in the face and I'm like, You're gonna sit here and lie to my face as if I don't know who I am.
Well, you go there and say, look, I have made friends with, and now I'm a learner of the correct syntax grammar with the plenipotentiary judge, postmaster general, Russell J. and Gould. And all you assholes are going down.
Yep.
And walk out, and they're going to be shitting themselves.
Right.
Because they're going to go have a meeting and say, well, what could she do? What could she do? And they have no way out.
Right.
Because they already did it.
Exactly.
They already wrote it. It's already done. You already have their evidence. Their paperwork is your evidence against them.
Right. So if I try to be as efficient as I can these days. Since the last time we talked about 2 years ago, I have this. I think we talked then. I have this apartment looking straight at the GM building here in Detroit, and I've been in my gym training the last 2 years, and I have a job now teaching dance at Arthur Murray in Royal Oak, and so I'm doing really well. I've been able to. I read this book right before my accident called The Science of Mind that spoke about the subjective and the objective physical. So it made sense right away, learning the syntaxing and what's fact and what's not. It made a lot of sense, even though nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Right, I get that, but what you're basically talking about is order of operation.
Okay.
Like, I use a math question all the time. I ask people, does 2 plus 2 equal 4? Mm-hmm. Well, yes, it does. So I go, well, thank you for your confession. The spoken word can't be qualified. I said, does TU plus TOO equal FORE?
Yeah.
And how many different ways you want to do that? TOO or TWO? How many different ways you want to do that?
Right.
Plus TU equals PHOR. I mean, how many different ways? You can do it a dozen different ways. And it's just going to keep going and going. Did you hear what I said, what I meant, what I said? Right. How do you know what I'm saying?
An objective
How do I know what you're saying?
has
So
to be
thank
on
you for your
paper.
confession for just proving that the spoken word can't be qualified. Now,
right.
The thing is this. Answer this question for me. 4 plus 4 times 4. Okay? Well, everybody that answers that question, simple question, right? 4 plus 4 times 4. Mm-hmm. Okay, but what happens is everybody forgets order of operation. Mm-hmm. See, order of operation requires that you multiply first.
Right.
So the correct answer is not 32, it's 20.
Right.
That's correct. See, they don't forget. They forget order of operation. Well, it's the same thing with the grammar. There's order of operation. And without order of operation, we have nothing.
Right.
We could never put up a space shuttle if we didn't understand order of operation. We couldn't do the math.
Okay.
You see? So order of operation is that's what we're talking about here, and that's prime. Order of operation is that you must have a prepositional phrase in order to have a noun. They taught you that in grade 5 English. All over the world they taught it.
Okay, right.
Because we have to have the styles manuals. There's the World Styles Manual and the Canada Styles Manual, and the styles manuals all over the world. Well, all those styles manuals are in 100% conformity with the other because there's no way we could conduct commerce on the planet.
Right.
You see, if you and I, if we have to come to an agreement or a concurrence, agreement is a bad word, agree means no agree. Mm. But if we have to arrive at that concurrence, what's the first thing that we have to have? Communication.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in order to have communication, that means that my words and your words must have the same meaning.
Right.
How can we arrive at a common ground if we don't have a common starting point?
Right.
See, well, how do you do that? How do you accomplish that? Well, the only way to accomplish that is with the paying attention to, strict adherence to the order of the operation.
Right.
To have the words mean the same thing. For the facts of the claim are with the facts, by the facts, with the facts, by the facts. See, there's no way of getting around it.
Okay.
It is what it is, and it says what it means what it says, front to back to front, and there's nobody can interpret. Well, I think it means this. There is none of that.
Right.
So the lawyers are out right now.
Right.
Instantly.
Okay.
They hate this technology because it takes away their immunity, it takes away their position, it takes everything away from them.
Right.
But like I said, the first thing that you have to be able to do is to be able to syntax, because you got to syntax all that evidence.
Right. So
first of all, I mean, you've got mountains of paperwork, but you see, you can't mail that all to them. Right. What you're looking for is liables. Okay. So the CEO of General Motors and the board of directors. Okay. The whole board of directors, get all their names. Okay. Because you're going to put all their names on that amicus.
Okay.
And then GM would have put in a statement of claim into that case. You want that.
Okay.
and maybe you want the one from Evenflow too. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, it's just it's, like I said, one paper is the same as the next.
Okay.
If you got 10 pieces of paper, and you got 25 million each, what do you care?
Okay.
Oh, I missed 100 of them, but you can't do that. See, I had a claim against my kid. My claim 10 years ago was with Russell was talking. It was over 50 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said I can't even handle that. You have to discount that.
Okay.
So I got to take and cut it down to a manageable level. I can't.
Okay.
I can't even put my claim in for 50 billion.
Okay, got it.
Because nobody can handle it.
Right.
So I've got to discount the claim. But then again, if I get 5 million or 50 million, what do I care?
Right.
I'm laying on a beach. I don't give a shit.
Right. Right. Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Okay. So this, basically, I'm gonna, if I collect, I'll work on collecting those important, or anyway, the significant, or
Well,
whatever.
names. See, the thing is the name. So you want the name of the judge, and if they had more than one judge, get all of them.
Right.
And then even the prosecutor, you can get his name. The lawyers for, but there's not going to be. There'll be a lawyer for there'll be a bunch of lawyers. Lawyers for Evenflow, lawyers for GM, there'll be lawyers for all of them.
I've been trying to make a list. I had a growing list of revenge.
Well, but again, the thing is, you see, once you get that amicus back from the Port Authority or the proof of service from the Port Authority, well, now you have to serve each one of these peons, and each one of those has to be served by registered mail a couple of times.
Okay, got it.
And the registered letters are what, $10-12 a piece? They're in Canada, they're $12.
Right. Yeah, here too.
Yeah, so $12 each time.
Okay.
Well, that adds up. If you have 100 names,
Got it. Okay.
it gets crazy. So you don't need that many names.
Okay.
You see, all I would concern myself with is GM at this point, because ultimately I don't care what happened with Evenflow. It's GM's fault.
Right.
Cars don't burst into flames.
Right.
It just don't. So that was a flaw. What did they say that was caused by?
Well, they threw everything out because when we came to Detroit to fight them, I was living in North Carolina at the time. Michigan they have a borrowing law. They borrowed a law from North Carolina where the accident happened. And I'm from Michigan originally. I was born here, but they borrowed a law from North Carolina, a statute of limitation that the car was over 12 years old. I bought it like 3 weeks prior. I had just bought it from a little girl from Appalachian State. It was in her family. It was a Buick Rendezvous 2007, I think. And I had locked up the oil on my other car. Anyway, it was the biggest mistake I could have made. So I bought this little Rendezvous for $1,400 that exploded 3 weeks later. And it was.
And so, but they have no guess as to why it exploded.
Well, they do. It's from two different. It was a failure to warn, recall, and report. There was two different parts of.
Oh, it was under recall.
Yeah, and there was two different parts of the some kind of rear part of the engine or washer that didn't connect to the gas tank or something quite right, but.
That would the only thing I can think of would be fuel line.
And something of the ignition switch or something. But I looked up, there's actually a report from Canada called the Fifth Estate, the switch from hell. And it's all about General Motors and all these ignition switches and all these vehicles that were malfunctioning and setting the cars on fire. So I'll send it to you.
You need to do a little bit of research there because we need that paperwork. Well, syntax, we're not going to rely on that because we can't stand on fiction.
Of course, yeah. I'll send you that summary, though, of that newscast about it because that's what happened to my vehicle when I heard it explained. Because I was going down the highway and all of a sudden lost power, just as it explains in the video here. But
Okay, well, what I want you to do is take that and write that down. Write it all out because we're going to have to take it and convert that into quantum in the claim.
Okay.
Okay, to state the claim that the car was was the fault of the faulty switch. I don't know how exactly to do this. I got to talk to my partner here about this, and I don't exactly because I've never done, like I said, I've never done a case like this. All of the ones so far have been about stopping them from doing something that they're trying to do.
Uh-huh.
And in this case, they're trying to get away on the liability.
Oops.
We'll go after it. We'll make the claims, and it should be like I said. Once it's filed, it's done. They have no way out. It's just filed.
Okay.
But I got to talk to my partner, and I'm going to be talking to him right shortly here after I get off the call with you. But the next thing that we need to do, you and I, is to get together to teach you the syntax.
Right, and
because once you have your syntax knowledge, you see, then you can use that for the rest of your life on anything.
Right.
IRS, U.S. government. If Joe Biden decides he doesn't like you and he sends the might of the entire U.S. government after you with some claim, with this technology, you can vacate it and go after him for fraud, for perjury. You lied.
Okay.
And he will run so fast, I'm telling you, that just all you see is their heels.
Right.
I came down the elevator in the courthouse. I just beat them on a credit card, and I was coming down the elevator, got to the ground, and here I stepped into the elevator with the opposing lawyer.
Yeah.
You think you can get away without paying your debts? And he's going down the elevator with me, barking away. And I said, well, hey, it's not my fault you're on the losing team.
Uh-huh.
You chose to be a liar. That was
Right.
your choice to be a liar. And you chose to put your briefs in here that were lies. You chose to lie.
Right.
And so when you lie, you want to play this game with lies, then you got to pay the price.
Right.
And the elevator doors opened at the ground floor, and he just burst out of there. All I could see was him running, and I stood there laughing, and I went, "Run, Forrest, run!"
Yeah. And
You're just running.
I know these well, and I use this vocabulary right back at them, and I tell them about facts on paper and objective and being subjective and subject to interpretation and feeling based or whatever this bull crap motions and everything. I know they know I guess because I don't know.
Well,
I don't
know
play
that
their game.
You know something about it, but you still lack knowledge, or you wouldn't be there.
Right. And they
See, so
they don't expect me to do anything, but all I got is time now. I dance and I syntax.
Yeah,
That's what I fucking do.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy.
Of course,
without challenges, but it's the only way to go.
Right, exactly.
There is no other way, because you can vacate anything that they say or do. You can vacate it instantly.
Okay.
See, when you ask them, where's your correct syntax grammar? You can see the whites of their eyes. You can see them. They got fear in their eyes because they're terrified of you coming forward with facts.
Right.
Which will expose all of them.
Right.
See, and they got no way out of it because they can't hire a lawyer.
Right.
No judge can help them. Well, this case doesn't. I'm dismissing. Because nobody can do that.
Right.
Even dismiss. DIS means no. You're no missing.
Right.
I just get, like I've told people, and people don't believe me, but it's true. If the police were outside right now planting a ton of cocaine in the back of my truck and coming in the house here saying you're going to charge me with trafficking cocaine, I would just simply laugh at them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys serious? Do you know who I am?
Right.
You serious? You want to go there? You really want to lose that bad? You want to go to prison that bad? Really?
Right. And that's why I told my family, of all things, I said, they'll try to put me in jail before there's any kind of justice in this court system. They would, you know, they're it's the most malevolent. I've never witnessed such evil. I can't imagine. I mean, what happened to me is tragedy and all, and I've built, you know, my strength back and getting on my feet literally enough to teach ballroom dancing. That it's just, and listen to everybody as if I'm crazy and that there's no empathy for me at all in these courtrooms.
No,
I'm like,
I
this
know.
is
I went
crazy.
through all that with my own kids. My kids were taken from me in 2003, and I've never seen them again.
Ugh.
And now my brother went and saw them, and they told him, I hate my dad. Well, she's filled their heads full of God knows what.
Right. And these bullshit, any kind of separations or anything that they do with these children.
That I walked away. It was all my choice. I did it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, it wasn't my choice.
Right.
I was literally, when I met David, David -Wynn, Miller, when I met him, I was laying there crying, and I was plotting on kidnapping the judge and torturing him to death to find out how they got away with this.
Yeah, I get it.
How do I undo it? How do I get it? And people say, oh, that's terrible. I said, well, when you get between Mama Bear and the cubs, what does she do? She doesn't ask questions. You're just dead.
Exactly. My lawyer, the reason they dropped me is because I told my lawyer 5 years ago that for her children's sake, you better hope your karma is clear. She was just having children. I just lost my children. She kept all these motions and late and liability and throwing out cases and all this stuff. This poor woman they've had me deal with. Not any of the men, you know, the 5 men that made me sign contracts with them when I was in the hospital, but this one poor little woman, I've made her cry over and over again. They made her partner, and then because of Marion's feelings, because of this voicemail I left her years ago, that's why they just dropped my representation in March. And I said, oh yeah, it has nothing to do with the same day that they dropped my children out of the case. And I told Bob he was a snake, but Marion's feelings is the reason they can't represent me anymore.
Well, they know, and as you're on to this, I mean, that's, you know, they know they're committing crime. They know. I've seen it in their eyes, and I've seen them all during COVID, you know, same thing.
Right.
You know, the lady in the drugstore, you can't stand there. We're social distancing here. And I said, what?
Man.
She said, you have to stand back there. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what no tancing means.
Right, I don't play that.
And she said, well, what do you, no tancing? I said, well, you're telling me that disability means ability?
Right.
Are you saying that discontent means content?
Right.
Exactly. So I don't know what you mean by no tancing.
Right.
Because DIS means no.
Right.
And she says, look, I'm just trying to do my job here. I said, okay, your job is running the till. Run the till and shut the fuck up.
Really?
You don't give me legal advice. I'm not taking legal advice from somebody who can't get a better job than this.
Right. Well, and if it's not how my studies and reading books, after going through such an experience in your life, life becomes different. As far as like when I discovered this kind of sovereignty and your vessel and being sound and standing, and you know that it makes sense because you have to look at the world in a different lens.
It's about shipping. The system is about shipping, and your vessel, up until you got your life claim, was considered abandoned.
Yeah.
See, so they can do whatever they want with it. That's why everybody that goes to jail, I keep telling them, look, you go to jail because your body, you've never stated a claim. 12B6. Failure to state a claim.
Well, I have a question. Well, my and I don't guess, you know, all my studies with this maritime court stuff.
It's not maritime court. It's about shipping.
Shipping.
Not admiralty law. It's not. It's about shipping and the shipping timelines and the shipping rules. That's what it's about. Because I made the same mistake. When I got in, I was talking to Russell. I said, so this is admiralty law. He said, no, it's about shipping.
Okay.
See, because you're on the paperwork, you put a stamp on the paperwork and you autograph through the stamp. Well, you're the shipper postmaster. And the postmaster has the authority of the freight forwarder. The postmaster says where things go and how things go. Nobody else.
Okay.
The postmaster's the boss. Like I had a senior citizen in my meetings. He's dead now, but he used to come to my meetings years ago, and we had Russell on the call like this, on the Skype like this, and he had them. They were garnishing his pension, and he wanted to stop them from taking his pension, and he wanted to hire Russell. And Russell said, well, I can't. And he said, well, why not? I thought you were this plenipotentiary judge, postmaster general. And Russell said, well, I am, but I can't undo what you did. Mm-hmm. See, because a general post is the seat of every government on planet Earth because it's all about shipping.
Okay.
See, under the Global Postal Corporation.
Okay.
So, and every place you go, they have something in writing already written up. It's already typed up, and they slide it over to you, and then they sign here and give it back to us. Mm-hmm. Well, so if you put your slave mark on it, because signature is the mark of a slave, because it cannot be qualified as anything more than some curvy line.
Okay.
So when you do, I call it slave mark surrender. You put your slave mark on there, and then you surrender that document. Who do you think the postmaster is?
Not you.
Not you.
Right.
It's them. You left that on the table by your own failure, by your own ignorance, by your own incompetence. You left that on the table for them. Now the next time you go to that office or to that organization to do anything, oh, well, you can't do this, and our policy is this, and our policy is that. We're not going to let you do that. That's because you gave them that authority. They're the postmaster. Okay. See, in this fellow's case, the pension company they were the postmaster, and they were giving the funds to CRA, same IRS, same thing. They were giving the funds to them, and nothing. He didn't have any standing, and so Russell told him, you have to go back and you have to get the application for the pension that you signed, so that you can take control of that now for then.
Right.
Okay, as the postmaster.
Okay.
Now, and what Russell said was, he said, and the point is this, and this is the point I'm trying to make to you here. The point is this: if you're not the postmaster on the contract, then who are you to dictate where the freight goes?
Right.
See? Does that make sense, though?
Yeah, the freight forwarder, right? You have to be.
You have no standing to dictate where the freight goes because you're not the postmaster.
Right.
See, but once you're the postmaster, now you're the only one that can say where the freight goes. You can't stop a Budweiser truck and start unloading beer off of there. The driver's the postmaster.
Right.
Hey, what are you doing? He's going to call the cops, and the cops are going to protect him, not you. Well, I got a claim against Budweiser, but unless it's done, that's too bad.
Okay.
You see,
of course.
He's the postmaster, and that's the way it goes. And so that's how all of these things go. Whoever's the postmaster is the guy that's making the decisions. And in the court case, it's the judge, not you.
Right.
But even that's all in fiction. You're going to be the
Exactly.
postmaster in the fact venue or
Right.
the fact claims.
Exactly.
You see?
Okay. Good
So,
to know.
all right. So I got to call my partner, talk to my partner. He's waiting for me to talk to him.
Yep.
You gave me $150, so I owe you another a bit of time yet. But
Oh yeah, that's
so-
okay. I'll work on this homework and collecting these documents together, and some names and.
Well, we just have to set a time here for you and I to get together again so we can syntax practice.
Okay. Let's see. Well, like I said, I'm available anytime in the morning is best for me. I mean, anytime before 1, 2 o'clock.
Well, I could do Monday, Tuesday at 10 a.m. At the same time here we're at, and I can do Thursday, Friday at this time. So you just pick one of those days. The only day that's out of there right now is Wednesday.
Yeah, let's do Thursday.
Thursday? Okay, let me get into my planner here, back into Thursday. Okay.
Same
10
time.
a.m. Christina.
So that's
That's going to be about syntax, and we can talk a little bit more about the case. But that, again, it's going to be about syntax because you got to syntax all your evidence.
That's the point, right? Doesn't matter what documents we have, we can syntax it.
Yeah,
Okay.
It doesn't matter if they come up with if they got a brand new law firm or comes up with something new, we can vacate that in an instant. It just means nothing.
Yeah.
It's almost you can almost just laugh at them because they're like children
Exactly.
trying to play in a sandbox that they can't play in.
Exactly.
It's just out of their league.
Right, and I've just, and since I've been studying all this the last couple of years, it's the more and more, you lift the veil and you can't take any of it seriously.
Yeah, that's right. It's just all a fiction. Well, the whole of COVID, I walked around and I felt like, because I laid in jail and I laid there and cried and I prayed, please, I have to know how this all works, please. And so now I know, but now I didn't ask for everybody else, so now nobody else knows.
Right.
So my whole family is black. I'm the black sheep. None of them will talk to me because I'm crazy. Because when are you going to get rid of that stuff? You can still have a life and get a girlfriend and get a mortgage. You can. What are you, people stupid or something?
Right, a death certificate, like a mortgage. Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm done with all of that crap. You guys go ahead and play in that sandbox if you want, but I'm not doing that no more.
Right.
I'm done. I'm going to operate in the fact world.
Exactly.
I'm going to wake up like Alice did.
And after everything we've been through, and people hear my story, and they're like, at first they're like, oh, you're going to get millions from GM. And now they're like, well, I guess that's just, the way it is. And that's just how it is. And that's the justice system. And, that's just how it goes, I guess, You're kidding.
That CEO of General Motors and that board of directors is sitting there right now. They're quite comfortable having their brunch.
Yeah.
Because they're not scared at all.
I know,
When
and
this hits
luckily
them,
I have the
gonna
top
shift
floor that
themselves.
looks straight out over to them, so I stare at them every day, ready, making my plans.
Well, I'll tell you, it probably won't make you feel any better, but my dad ran welding trucks in the oil patch. He was a welder in the oil field, a pressure welder. And then he took us up to bought a farm and put us up on the farm, and so we had to go to work. And so trucks were a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, every 2 years he bought a new one to put it to work in the oil patch, and every 2 years he'd go look at them all. He'd take me along with him.
Yeah.
And we go to every dealership and we'd look at them all, and he'd show me things when they're exposed like that on a cab and chassis. You can see everything. He'd say, "Well, see that's junk. That ain't gonna work. See that's junk. That's not gonna work."
Huh.
And every 2 years he'd come home with a new 1-ton Ford.
Yeah. Well,
Those
and
are the
and that's
only
where
ones that
there's like a
work.
balance between, all this this stirred up emotion I have against General Motors. My whole family worked and retired from General Motors. I mean, my uncles, my grandfathers, and so we had this kind of, we went to family picnics for General Motors when we were kids and things. So
Yeah.
there's still that love-hate relationship and I associate so much masculinity with trucks and cars, and that I like the men that are into those things that I don't know anything about. So there's still that balance in China.
I rigged up too after years. I rigged up a truck too to go work in the oil field, and I still got that truck today.
Yeah.
And I got a pickup sitting outside here. But see, the thing is, I had to be able to rely on them.
Yeah.
I had to be able to. So they were all Fords.
Yeah.
Every one of them. They're all Ford trucks, and I can count on them. My pickup out front is a 95 that I factory ordered. It's got 325 or 326,000 on it, and it's never caused me a moment's grief.
Nice.
In 28 years.
Yeah, I drive a Ford now. I would like my next vehicle next year. Hopefully, maybe I'll get a truck I'd like.
F-150.
I got it
that's the
nice
way to go.
paid off.
Yeah.
Yep, that's always been the thing. The F-150, just get you a nice good truck. I don't need a man around. Just carry my own stuff.
Yeah, well, the truck's Ford. That's Ford's bread and butter, so they can't mess with it.
Right.
They build them trucks to go to work, and that was when I thought I was quite proud of myself when I was 17 years old. I was going to go buy a car, and I wanted to buy a Mustang, and which way my dad you're burning tires up and burning gas and getting yourself in trouble and breaking parts. What do you want to do that for? And then I thought about it. I thought, well, they build trucks to go to work. So if I buy a truck and drive it like a car, put a camper on the back or a canopy on the back, but I can use it every day, well, then it should last me longer if I maintain it. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I bought a brand new 74 F100. And again, I put 469,000 miles on that thing. And it just kept going. But my dad taught me from the farm, lubrication, change oil,
right.
Chassis lube, like that. So I greased my own vehicles. I changed my oil. I changed the filter. I did all that stuff. And if you do that, they'll last.
Right.
You maintain them, new spark plugs, and keep them in a good state of tune. Something breaks, fix it right now. Don't do a half-assed fix, and then they'll just last and last. And that one did, and now this one has.
Right.
326,000, and it had not shown any sign. I had to run out this morning to get some cottage cheese here for Brecky, and I ran down to the store, and that truck just runs and drives like it did when it was new.
Yeah, nice. That's the goal. I love it.
28 years later, so.
Good.
Anyways,
wow, 28
that's neither here nor there. So we got our appointment set. You
Okay.
know what to do, and I'm going to send you everything again that I sent you before, all the paperwork, just to make sure that you have it, so you don't have to go hunting for anything.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, only have to print off 2 pages, that the number code terms page and the first page of the Facebook terms.
Okay, and I actually do have that. I'm looking at it right now. So.
Yeah, and so you should see some numbers on there from the last time.
I do.
Do you remember any of that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll have to go through and study a little bit more. Yeah. I've been doing all this dance training and choreography and stuff for work, which is great.
Right.
So.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you have a life again. And
yeah, me too.
Getting up and running here, but this will get you, hopefully be able to get you some money that you can laugh at all of them, laugh in their faces, flip them the bird, and go lay on a beach.
Yeah, good deal. Well, I appreciate your time so much, and I look forward to us meeting next week.
Okay, then. Well, you have yourself a wonderful day, and have a good weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now, Christina.
Okay, bye. Oh, I do everything I say I'm gonna do. I'm a fucking beast. Okay. I say that after I do everything.